Michael Soares.
Oh no!
Don Geronimo. Yeah, Don, hey, 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 Don Geronimo.
A real man.
My whole buildup is that I feel secure in taking a moment to talk about something that's not sports related, and that's this guy. I know this radio guy. And if you know anything about Washington radio, you've heard the name Scott Shannon before. This is a guy who was a program director at WPGC starting back in 1979. Guy's a very influential radio guy. It's the guy, I don't know if he would want to be remembered as this, the guy who invented the morning zoo down in Tampa Bay, Florida. The guy worked in Washington, D.C., and the reason I bring him up is he is my friend and my mentor, and is one of the people, he just retired on Friday from his job in New York, and he's one of the people that's had the biggest influence in my life in radio. He was the best boss that I ever had as a radio guy. He was a program director, and this was back when I was doing Top 40 radio. He would come in, he hired me to do the night show on WPGC in 1979. And we were getting killed by Uncle Johnny on Q107. Yep. And he said, here's how we're going to kill him. We don't have money to give $5,000 every time they play Hey Jude. We can't do 1,000 songs in a row and no commercials. We're just going to do real balls-out personality radio. And he would even go on the telephone in the production room. I'd be doing a break, and he'd pick up the hotline and call me, and I would answer the phone on the air, and he would just start doing a bit with me. He would just start riffing with me, just doing a voice, being a drunk guy in a helicopter giving me traffic reports at night. This was one of his bits. I mean, the guy was just, he's a guy that told me, embrace your love of radio. It will always transcend whatever format you're doing, and make a connection with people. And all this jive crap that you hear now that is no longer done in radio, and having stage presence and knowing when something is good and hopefully when it's not good. These are all the things that this guy taught me about radio. And he's a Hall of Famer radio guy. But I've got just a few stories about him that I've told before that I must tell again. Because this guy's a character. Besides being a radio innovator who went from Washington, D.C. to Tampa to start the morning zoo, and then went to New York City and started a big radio station there called Z100, and now WPLJ in New York. The guy's, he's off the charts as far as radio guys go. He was such a goofball. He bought himself a Mazda RX-7 back in like 1980 when they first came out. Mm-hmm. And it was a beautiful little car. And it was sitting outside the radio station, and he had left the sunroof open. And it was pouring rain. And everybody came running back to say, hey, Super Shan, your brand new car is out there. Now, he wanted to pretend to be so cool. He said, leave it. They said, don't you want an intern to go out and at least shut your sunroof? No, leave it. I said, why is that? He said, I didn't like my car being musty. So I laid down some deodorant powder in my car, hoping that it would rain and the powder would suck into the seats. I want my car to get wet on the inside. And his famous quote was, I did it on purpose. And he had a room of people believing it. Until one by one they all left, and I looked at him and I said, you didn't really do it on purpose, did you? And he said, no, but what am I going to do? I look like an idiot if I go down there and tell them, oh, my God, my car's going to get wet. Here's another great one. I did the night show at WPGC. He was the program director. One night I'm sick, and he was the type of guy, he loved being on the radio as a disc jockey and a program director. He would go on and do a shift if a guy was sick. So he's on the air, and he's doing my show one night. And while you played records, you would record telephone calls. Okay, old-time Top 40 radio.
On the reel-to-reel.
On a reel-to-reel tape recorder. And what you would do is you would take your microphone and you would put it in Audition so you could answer phone calls through your microphone. And it would sound to the people listening like you were talking on microphone to someone on the telephone. So he's going to break, and I'm listening at home, and I'm hearing little stuff come through during the commercials. I'm hearing like, well, how you doing? Well, yeah, don't worry about it. I think nothing of it. A song starts. I remember the song, Copacabana by Barry Manilow. Halfway through the song, during the vocal part, you hear Scott Shannon. You only hear this part of the conversation. He says, yeah, he's sick, right? Yeah. Well, I can do this effing show better than Geronimo any night. And he says the word.
Oh, he did.
He says the F word. He says it. I'm at home. I call right away on the hotline. I say, you just dropped the F-bomb. Oh, my God. He says, oh, my God. He says, get in your car and come down here. I don't care if you're sick. Come in right now. I'm in my car. He's doing the next break. He's very nervous now. The Barry Manilow record is ending. And he gets on the air and he goes, Music Radio WPGC, is your leader, Scott Shannon. Apparently we're getting some CB interference bleeding through tonight. I don't know what to tell you, but we're getting all kinds of reports about CB interference. So I get to the radio station, and we spent the next 3 hours breaking into an office where they had the master tape, which taped everything that went on the radio station. Mm-hmm. It taped on a reel-to-reel at a very slow speed. And we ended up breaking down a door to disable this machine. So there would be no proof that he had said the F word on the radio. And then it was CB interference. And P.S., we never heard a word about it. And I got one more for you. He says to me one weekend, you ever been to Charlotte? I go, no. He goes, there's a friend of mine, Robert Murphy in the Morning. He has a pig roast in Charlotte. Let's go. So we get on a plane and we go down there. And it's debauchery, man. I mean, it's like Caligula time. I'm getting down there. It's like a Roman orgy.
Woodstock.
Yeah, it was a Saturday and a Sunday. It gets to Sunday, and we got our plane to D.C., leaves Charlotte at 7 o'clock. We were still at Robert Murphy's house at 5:30. I said, we got to get going, shit. We get in the car at 6. We pull up in front of the Charlotte airport. Now, keep in mind, this is like 1980.
Okay.
Pre-9/11, of course. We pull up in front of the airport at 1:45. He says, I don't have time to return the car. Just get your bag out, and we're just going to leave the car. I go, what? He says, we're going to leave it running, and I'm going to lock the keys inside. They'll figure it out. And as we're walking away from a running car that's locked, I'm thinking to myself, this is the greatest guy I've ever worked for. He just took me to a fantastic pig roast with chicks at a pool, and now we're leaving a running car at the airport so we can catch our plane. That is my friend Scott Shannon, who retired from radio yesterday. I will miss that guy. I love that guy. I'll be right back. Don Geronimo speaking on 106.7 The Fan.